Welcome to this video on implementing design thinking in DPDP Act. We will explore how to move beyond basic policy drafting by applying design thinking to the DPDP Act. The DPDP Act is not merely a legal document that requires an organization to prepare a privacy policy. It affects how an organization designs products, collects information, communicates with individuals, manages vendors, responds to rights requests, and handles security incidents. Design thinking helps us approach these obligations from the perspective of the people who interact with the organization. Instead of asking only, what document do we need? We ask, what does the data principle need to understand? Where could the individual become confused? How can consent be meaningful? How can withdrawal, correction, or deletion be simple? How can employees execute privacy obligations consistently? The theme is that DPDP compliance should be designed into the user journey and operation model, rather than added as an afterthought. The 6 objectives are: first, we will understand why design thinking is relevant to a data protection law. Second, we will identify privacy problems as they actually occur in real user journeys. Third, we will examine how to design consent experiences that are clear, specific, and capable of being withdrawn. Fourth, we will look at rights management. A right is meaningful only when the organization provides a practical mechanism through which the data principle can exercise it. Fifth, we will apply prototyping and user testing. Privacy notices, consent screens, and grievance workflows should be tested like products. Finally, we will create an actionable roadmap that connects design thinking activities with DPDP implementation tasks. Many organizations follow a document-centric model. They create a privacy policy, add a consent checkbox, appoint a responsible person, and consider the task substantially complete. This approach may fail because privacy is experienced through multiple interactions: a registration form, a mobile application permission request, a customer support conversation, a marketing preference center, a data deletion request, a breach notification, a vendor or partner interaction. Design thinking changes the question from have we created a policy to can people understand and use the privacy protection provided to them? This is particularly important because DPDP implementation requires coordination between legal, compliance, product, technology, security, customer support, procurement, and business teams. The goal is not to make the law less rigorous. The goal is to make compliance more usable, reliable, and capable of producing the intended protection. Before applying design thinking, we need to understand the DPDP vocabulary. The data principal is the individual whose personal data is involved. The data fiduciary determines why and how personal data is processed. This role carries the primary responsibility for compliance. A data processor processes personal data on behalf of the data fiduciary. The Act also provides for significant data fiduciaries who may be subject to additional obligations. Organizations should assess whether their activities may fall within that category based on the applicable criteria and notifications. The important point is that each legal obligation has a design consequence. Notice affects communication design. Consent affects interaction design. Rights affect service design. Security affects system design. Breach response affects operational and communication design. The design thinking process commonly uses 5 stages: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. These stages are not necessarily linear. Organizations may move repeatedly between them. Testing may reveal that the problem was framed incorrectly. A prototype may expose a technical limitation. A stakeholder interview may reveal an overlooked group of users. In the DPDP context, the process can be applied as follows. During the empathize stage, we learn how people currently interact with data collection and privacy controls. During define, we convert observations into a focused problem statement. During ideate, we generate multiple possible solutions, rather than selecting the first legal or technical option. During prototype, we create a draft screen, process, form, workflow, or system rule. During test, we determine whether the solution is understandable, accessible, technically feasible, and operationally reliable. Empathy does not mean making assumptions about what users want. It means gathering evidence. A privacy team may believe that a privacy notice is clear because it is legally accurate. However, users may struggle with the language, length, terminology, or placement. We should study different groups. A young user, an elderly customer, a person using a screen reader, and a corporate customer may have very different needs. Useful research methods include interviews, surveys, analysis of customer support tickets, and observation of users completing common tasks. We should review complaints and failed requests. If individuals frequently ask customer support, "Why do you need my date of birth?" that may indicate a notice or interaction design problem. Empathy research should not itself create unnecessary privacy risk. Collect only the information needed for the research, explain the purpose, and apply appropriate security controls. Personas help teams avoid designing for an imaginary average user. A new customer primarily needs to understand why information is being requested. An existing user may want to withdraw marketing consent without closing the account. A parent or guardian may need a clear explanation of how a child's data is handled. A rights requester requires a reliable workflow, identity verification, and status tracking. The customer support agent is also an important persona. Even though the agent may not be the data principal, the agent is often the person who must explain privacy practices or handle a request. Each persona reveals different design requirements. A single privacy policy cannot adequately address every interaction. The policy may provide the complete legal explanation, but the product and service journeys must also provide relevant, timely, and understandable information. A good problem statement is specific and evidence-based. Make the privacy policy compliant is too broad. It does not tell the team who is experiencing the problem, what is going wrong, or what success would look like. A better statement identifies the user, the difficulty, and the context. The corresponding design challenge asks how we might explain the purpose in clear language at the right time without creating unnecessary friction. This framing is useful because it includes legal, user experience, and business considerations. It does not assume that the solution must be a longer policy. The solution could be a concise notice, layered information, a purpose-specific explanation, or a contextual prompt. A data principal does not experience data processing as a database diagram. The individual experiences a journey. For each stage, the organization should map what information is collected, the purpose of collection, the relevant processing basis, recipients, systems, retention, and available controls. This mapping can combine customer journey mapping with data flow mapping. For example, during registration, the user may provide a name, phone number, and identity document. The data may move from a web form to an application database, an identity verification vendor, a customer relationship management system, and an archival platform. The map should identify not only the formal process, but also shadow processes. Data may be copied into spreadsheets, email inboxes, support tools, logs, backups, or analytics platforms. Each point where the data principal encounters a privacy decision is a potential design opportunity. The next step is to identify pain points. A pain point is not necessarily a legal violation. It can also be a usability or operational weakness that increases the risk of non-compliance. A withdrawal mechanism may exist, but if the user must search for an email address and wait for manual processing, it is not a well-designed control. Rights requests are another common challenge. A form may exist, but the organization may not have automated routing, identity verification, system discovery, fulfillment, or status communication. The team should prioritize pain points by considering legal and regulatory impact, number of affected users, sensitivity of the data, likelihood and severity of harm, implementation effort, reputational impact. During ideation, you should generate several possible solutions before choosing one. For a consent challenge, possible ideas might include purpose-specific consent choices, a layered notice, just-in-time explanations, a privacy dashboard, a preference center, multilingual content, audio or assisted explanations, a consent history, a one-click withdrawal option. You should avoid treating convenience as the only goal. A simple interface that hides important information is not a good privacy design. The best solutions balance comprehension, user control, accessibility, security, operational feasibility, and legal requirements. It is also important to distinguish between what the law requires and what the organization chooses as a trust-enhancing practice. This distinction should be documented so that voluntary commitments are not confused with statutory obligations. A privacy notice is both a legal communication and a user interface component. The objective is not simply to include every possible detail in one block of text. The objective is to provide required information in a way that a reasonable user can locate, understand, and act upon. A layered notice can provide a concise summary first, followed by expandable sections containing more detail. This allows users to understand the essential information without preventing access to complete information. Purpose-specific language is particularly important. The organization should describe the purpose with sufficient specificity for the user to understand the expected processing. Notices should be reviewed across websites, mobile applications, call center scripts, paper forms, APIs, and partner channels. Inconsistent wording can create confusion and weaken governance. The final wording must be reviewed against the organization's actual processing activities and applicable legal requirements. Consent should not be viewed as a one-time checkbox. It is a life cycle. The organization must design the initial request, capture the decision, record evidence, use the data consistently with the stated purpose, support review and withdrawal, propagate the withdrawal to relevant systems, and retain appropriate evidence. A strong consent record may need to show the identity or account reference, the purpose, the wording or version of the notice, the date and time, the channel, the action taken, the withdrawal event, downstream systems notified. The design should clearly distinguish optional processing from processing necessary to provide the requested service. A critical test is this: can the organization explain, months later, what the individual was told, what they chose, and how that choice was implemented? Design thinking must include ethics. A technically functional consent flow may still undermine user autonomy if it uses manipulative design. Organizations should compare the acceptance journey with the refusal and withdrawal journeys. If accepting takes one click, but withdrawing requires multiple screens, an email, and a support interaction, the design is not balanced. The interface should communicate choices neutrally. Labels such as accept all and manage settings may be appropriate only if the user can understand the alternatives and access them without unreasonable difficulty. The team should maintain a design review checklist for privacy interactions. Legal, compliance, product, UX, accessibility, and security teams should review high-impact flows together. A right that cannot be exercised easily is only a theoretical right. The organization should design a privacy center or equivalent mechanism where data principals can find instructions, submit requests, and receive updates. The workflow should define how the request is received, how identity is verified, how the request is classified, which teams and systems are involved, what exceptions or restrictions apply, how the outcome is communicated, how the process is recorded. Identity verification must be proportionate. Requiring a complete identity document for every request may create additional privacy and security risks. At the same time, insufficient verification may lead to unauthorized disclosure or deletion. The workflow should connect front-end experience with back-end execution. A polished form is not enough if the organization cannot locate data across production systems, archives, backups, processors, and support tools. Grievance redressal should be designed as a service rather than treated as a mailbox. Internally, every grievance should have an owner, a category, a target response time, and an escalation path. Organizations should also distinguish between a simple request, a privacy complaint, a security incident, and a broader product issue. Grievance data can be valuable for continuous improvement. Repeated complaints about unclear consent, unwanted messages, or inability to delete an account may reveal a systemic design problem. The organization should monitor trends, not just close individual cases. Privacy design cannot be separated from security design. The DPDP implementation program should connect data discovery, classification, access controls, encryption, monitoring, backup protection, retention, and deletion. Design thinking helps security teams consider the human factors that cause incidents. Security safeguards should be proportionate to the risk, nature, and volume of personal data being processed. The organization should also test its incident response process. A breach plan that exists only in a document may fail under time pressure. Tabletop exercises can expose unclear ownership, incomplete contact lists, weak decision criteria, and communication gaps. Some data principles require additional care because the risks of misunderstanding or harm may be higher. For children, the organization should design age-related processes, parental or guardian interactions, and child-friendly explanations in accordance with the applicable legal requirements and rules. The interface should avoid asking children to make complex legal decisions without appropriate safeguards. Accessibility is also a privacy requirement in practice. A person who cannot use a screen reader, keyboard navigation, clear contrast, or local language support may be unable to understand a notice or exercise a right. Organizations should provide alternative channels, assisted support, and accessible formats where appropriate. The design objective is not merely to provide the same screen to everyone. It is to provide an equivalent ability to understand, choose, and control. Prototyping allows the organization to learn before making a costly full-scale implementation. A prototype does not need to be technically complete. It may be a paper sketch, a clickable interface, a process map, or a spreadsheet showing how requests are routed. For a rights workflow, the team can prototype the user submission form, identity verification, internal ticket creation, system owner assignment, processor notification, approval or exception handling, completion communication. The prototype should be tested against realistic scenarios, including incomplete information, multiple identities, duplicate requests, processor delays, and a user who cannot access the primary digital channel. Prototyping also helps reveal whether legal language can be translated into functional requirements. Testing should include both external users and internal operators. Comprehension testing asks users to explain the notice in their own words. Merely asking whether they understood it is not enough. Usability testing observes whether users can complete tasks, such as withdrawing marketing consent or submitting a correction request. Operational testing examines whether the organization can execute what the interface promises. A privacy center that offers deletion but cannot reach archived records is incomplete. Testing should include edge cases. A user forgets their account identifier. The same person has multiple accounts. A processor holds a copy of the data. The request concerns a dependent or child. Some data must be retained for a legitimate organizational or legal reason. The user submits a request in a regional language. The output should be a list of findings, owners, corrective actions, and retest dates. Design thinking requires measurement. Without metrics, the organization cannot determine whether the redesigned process is working. Metrics should measure both user outcomes and operational reliability. For rights workflows, the organization can measure the percentage of requests completed within the applicable time, the number of manual interventions, and the number of failures caused by missing system ownership. Metrics should not encourage undesirable behavior. For example, customer support teams should not be rewarded simply for closing grievances quickly if the underlying issue remains unresolved. A useful dashboard combines compliance, experience, risk, and service quality measures. DPDP cannot be implemented successfully by one department working in isolation. Legal and privacy teams interpret obligations, product and UX teams design user experiences, engineering builds the functionality, security protects the environment, customer support handles questions and grievances, procurement manages processors, internal audit evaluates evidence. The organization should establish a cross-functional working group with clear accountability. A RACI matrix can identify who is responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed for activities such as notice approval, consent configuration, data mapping, rights request fulfillment, processor oversight, breach escalation, training, periodic testing. The team should maintain one authoritative data inventory and one evidence structure. Multiple disconnected spreadsheets can produce inconsistent results. A data protection impact assessment should not be treated as a form completed after a product has already been built. It should be integrated into the design process, particularly for new products, high-risk processing, sensitive data, large-scale monitoring, children's data, artificial intelligence, or major system changes. Design thinking strengthens DPIAs because it asks the team to explore alternatives. Could the purpose be achieved without collecting the full identifier? Could information be aggregated? Could data be retained for a shorter period? Could access be limited to a smaller group? Could the user be given a clearer choice? A DPIA should describe not only the intended benefits, but also potential harms, such as discrimination, identity theft, surveillance, exclusion, financial loss, or reputational damage. The outcome may be approval with safeguards, redesign, additional testing, or a decision not to proceed. Let us apply the framework to an e-commerce example. The organization currently collects excessive information during registration. A single checkbox combines account creation, analytics, personalization, and marketing. The first step is to map the purposes and determine which information is actually necessary for the requested service. The redesigned experience separates mandatory service-related processing from optional marketing and personalization. A concise notice appears near the relevant fields, while users can access detailed information through layers. A privacy center allows users to review and change preferences. The system stores the notice version, purpose, timestamp, and channel. The team then tests the experience. It measures whether users understand the difference between service messages and promotional messages, and whether they can later withdraw a preference without assistance. The DPDP framework applies across different organizational contexts. Employee data should not be ignored simply because the primary privacy program focuses on customers. In this example, the employee uses an internal privacy portal. The request is classified into correction and deletion components. The system routes the request to the relevant data owners. HR may manage the employee profile, payroll may hold statutory records, and the benefits provider may process emergency contact information. The organization should distinguish between data that can be deleted and data that must be retained for applicable legal, employment, accounting, or operational reasons. The outcome should be communicated clearly. If part of the request cannot be fulfilled, the organization should explain the reason and provide the available grievance or escalation route. This example demonstrates why rights management requires data mapping, role ownership, and retention rules, not just a form. This 4-phase roadmap connects design thinking with DPDP implementation. The first phase is about understanding. The organization creates governance, maps personal data, and studies the journeys where processing occurs. The second phase is design. Teams convert findings into notices, consent mechanisms, rights workflows, processor controls, DPIAs, security safeguards, and retention rules. The third phase is build and pilot. The organization should avoid launching every change simultaneously if a controlled pilot can reduce risk. The fourth phase is continuous operation. Privacy compliance changes as products, vendors, technologies, and legal requirements change. The organization should monitor performance, review complaints, and periodically test the controls. The roadmap should be adapted to the organization's size, processing activities, risk profile, and role under the DPDP framework. A successful program produces tangible deliverables. The governance deliverables clarify ownership. The data management deliverables establish visibility over personal data and its movement. The user experience deliverables make privacy controls visible and usable. The assurance deliverables demonstrate that controls are operating and that the organization can produce evidence when required. Each deliverable should have an owner, approval status, review date, version history, and relationship to the relevant system or process. The organization should avoid producing documents that are disconnected from operations. For example, a retention policy should be linked to system configuration and deletion workflows. A rights procedure should be linked to service tickets, system owners, and processor contracts. Several mistakes occur repeatedly in privacy implementation. The first is treating the work as a legal exercise. Legal review is essential, but it cannot replace product, technology, security, and operations involvement. The second is writing a notice without testing whether users understand it. The third is collecting one broad consent for unrelated activities. This makes it difficult to demonstrate that choices were specific and meaningful. The fourth is building a front-end rights form without creating the internal capability to find and action data. The fifth is ignoring unstructured data. Personal data may exist in email, documents, spreadsheets, call recordings, logs, and backups. Another mistake is excluding processors. If the organization instructs a processor to delete or update data, the processor relationship and technical workflow must support that instruction. Finally, organizations often measure whether a control is deployed rather than whether it works. A privacy program should measure actual outcomes. For this activity, you should select one real or realistic journey. You should identify the data principal and list the information collected at each step. Next, identify where the individual may be confused, pressured, or unable to exercise control. Then redesign the experience. The redesign should include the notice, the consent choices, mandatory and optional processing, withdrawal, and the evidence captured by the organization. You should also identify what happens in the backend. Which systems receive the data? Which teams own them? How will withdrawal be propagated? What happens if a processor has a copy? At the end, you can present its privacy by design canvas and explain one trade-off it had to resolve. The canvas is a practical tool that can be used during product planning, process redesign, vendor onboarding, or DPIA preparation. The user and context sections keep the discussion focused on the person's objective. The data and purpose sections support minimization and purpose clarity. The choice and notice sections address transparency and consent. The risk and control sections connect user experience with privacy and security risk. The system and evidence sections ensure that the design can be implemented and demonstrated. The final section, metric, prevents the team from declaring success merely because a feature has been launched. Leadership support determines whether design thinking becomes a real operating model or remains a workshop exercise. Leaders should make privacy part of product and process governance. New initiatives should include privacy review at an early design stage, rather than immediately before launch. Leadership should also recognize that some privacy-friendly choices may reduce short-term conversion or require additional engineering effort. The organization should create a culture where employees can report privacy weaknesses without fear of blame. A weak consent flow or unapproved data copy should be treated as a risk to be corrected, not simply as an individual failure. Let us close with 7 key takeaways. First, design thinking makes DPDP implementation more human-centered. Second, empathy helps organizations understand how privacy is actually experienced. Third, a clearly framed problem leads to better solutions than a broad instruction to be compliant. Fourth, prototyping allows teams to identify weaknesses before full deployment. Fifth, testing must assess comprehension, usability, and operational execution. Sixth, privacy controls need to work across the entire ecosystem: users, employees, systems, vendors, and governance processes. Finally, compliance is not a one-time project. It is a continuous cycle of understanding, designing, testing, monitoring, and improving. The ultimate goal is not merely to avoid penalties. It is to create an organization in which personal data is handled responsibly and individuals can understand and exercise meaningful control. Thank you for watching this video relating to implementing design thinking in DPDP Act. Hope you now know more about how design thinking can help in implementing DPDP Act provisions. This was the 50th video in this series, released by dpdpamentor.in. Please visit our YouTube channel, DPDPA Mentor, as well as our website, dpdpamentor.in, regularly to check out other informative resources. Wishing you a successful DPDP Act implementation.